Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Board of County Commissioners meeting. Would you all please rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first thing we have on our agenda are the minutes of our last meeting. Gentlemen, do you have any additions or corrections?
I do not. I move we accept the proceedings of the Board of County Commissioners of Montezuma County for August 30th, 2022.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the proceedings of the Board of Commissioners, Montezuma County, August 30th, 2022. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we have no planning today, which is unusual, but it's does make things go quicker. So we're going to jump right into public comment. The Board of Montezuma County Commissioners welcomes you to this meeting. Person speaking during the public comment will be limited to 3 minutes, or depending on the number of people wishing to speak, and may be reduced to allow all the members of the public the opportunity to address the board. When addressing the board, please state your name and address for the record prior to providing your comment. And comments to individual supervisors or staff are not permitted, and participants may not yield their time to others. With that, the public comment is open.
Okay. Time out. Time out. I got to get the timer going.
Oh, okay.
You can go first.
Good morning. How is everyone this morning?
No, that's not what I wanted. Good morning.
Morning, Jim. Morning, Gerald.
Morning.
Morning, Kim. Hello, this is Melinda. Can't reach over. So, good morning, everyone. How is everyone this morning?
Good.
Good?
Great.
So at the last meeting I was at, the superintendents were here and we were discussing funds. And Mr. Lindsay, Commissioner Lindsay, brought up about legislation. And it was kind of, that's not in their job description. They have a lot to do. So I work closely with the legislation, and I sit on several round tables, which is a very important for our school boards to be heavily involved in. So I just wanted to clarify that for you, and it has taken me 2 years just to even get the approval for a legislative commission as being a board member, and I am by no means speaking for the whole board. So there is a lot of legislation about funding, and I do see on your paper that you are appointing a county commissioner and substitute to work with the legislation committee. Is that correct?
With CCI, so this is really public comment.
Okay.
We'll answer questions
Oh,
down
sorry.
the road.
I'm sorry.
This is your turn to talk and
Okay.
our turn to listen.
So I just want to implore whoever is appointed to that to fight for education. I'm just going to give you one quick example. When we look at our budget, we get so much funding per student. It doesn't matter what the needs of that student is. So through the one round table, we present resolutions that go to the legislation. So one of these resolutions is to look at the needs of each individual pupil. So if we have a student that has a one-on-one para, which is a student that has one employee designated for them, that costs us, each school, the average is about $40,000. Now the funding we get is from $74 to $9,500. So it costs us $40,000 a year for that one individual. And in our community, we have several of those individuals. So the funding that the formula they use does not work for us. because then we have to take money away from the student that does not require a para and fund those students that have a para. So one student is costing us 3-4 times more than an average student that doesn't require the para. So I just want to implore you, if anything comes up with education and the funding, please help us fight for it. We need to start taking care of our own, and some counties have even gone to a sales tax that help fund their teachers. Because as you see here, we cannot pay our teachers what the cost of living is here. And even my own daughter was a teacher. She moved because they could not make a living here in this county. She's making $60,000 across the border in New Mexico. So anything you can do to help us get the funding, we would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Lynetta.
Next. Okay, seeing no others, I'll close the public comment session of this meeting, and we're going to move on to Public Works. Road and Bridge, Mr. Englehart. Good morning.
Morning.
How are you guys?
Great, how are
Good,
you?
Good. Good. So, looking at September's work activities, we're currently blading a lot of the seasonal roads, which would include like Road 41 going down Weber Canyon, Road 35.6, 35.9 up in the Summit Lake area. Along with that, a lot of the dirt roads out north of Lewis. Those will all get cleaned up again. We try to hit them again in the fall during the bean season. So we'll be working on those the next couple of weeks. We're also doing a lot of flood repair and cleanup. We had a lot of that. You mentioned your tornado through your hayfield.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. It was yesterday, the other day, we got rain right down through the middle of everything and washed everything out again. So we just had this steady flow of erosion control and repair and rebuild roads for the last couple of weeks. Just every week we get a little bit more of it. So we're still working on a lot of that out in the area north of Areola, basically from Goodman Point all the way to Road CC. Just a strip down through there. We just keep rebuilding and fixing and changing and redesigning to carry more water, and then we probably won't see rain again for a while. You know, so.
I got news for you.
What's that?
Probably this weekend.
Oh.
My hip's barking at me, so,
Don't cut hay then, huh?
yeah. If you got it down, get it put up.
Get it put up, yeah, okay, well, I'm glad to hear that. But we have
So is
been
that-
busy doing that. It's a
Rob, is
lot
that
of-
mostly just from the borrow ditch drainage or the culverts?
Yeah, no,
What-
just
what
coming
is
off the
it?
fields out there, just runs off them open fields, the wheat fields and the bean fields, and it just comes down them arroyos and draws and hits the roads and takes the roads out and washes culverts, and it's been quite the adventure out there for the last 3 weeks. So,
It's so dry that a lot of those weeds just die and it just fills up.
and trash, lots
Yeah.
of tumbleweeds in the culverts, and we're finding culverts that were full of tumbleweeds, and we just overflow and have to clean them all out, so. That Roundup district has been really busy the last couple of weeks. We got Road Y and 16 ready to chip seal, and then that's all they've done since they got off them roads is do damage control and rain repairs, yeah. So, Junior over Mancus Dolores has been getting quite a bit, but he's caught up with all of his culverts. They're all pretty well cleaned out now and ready for more, but just that country out north of Lewis has been the hardest hit. That's where the fun's been, yeah. So, also doing shouldering on Road 29 and in. Those were some roads last year we paved and we didn't get a chance to get the shouldering done, so we got them done last week and fixed up. We'll put that crew back out there after we get done chip seal and do some more. As the weather temperature comes down, we can do more of the chip seal roads too. Right now it's too hot and we tear the chip seal up with that heavy equipment. But this fall, I'd like to get into that again, October, November, before we start getting into bad weather. That's when it's easiest to do the shouldering for those chip seal roads. We are scheduled to start chip sealing on Road Y and 16. I show it starting on the 12th. We'll have a crew out there prepping the roads, reblading them, and getting them ready for chip seal. Chip seal starts on the 13th. We're anticipating about 7 days out there, maybe 8, doing Y and 16. That little loop around the post office there, the old Yellow Jacket post office, just tie all that in to make it all one chip seal there. And then we've still got to do that 2/10 of a mile where we built that new road over on Road 20 between P and S, and we got that little stretch in there. We want to get that chip seal this fall and get that tied together. So that'll all be that'll take up the rest of the month in work activities. We're also hauling gravel out of Ormiston and bringing it down to the Cortez yard to use on our shouldering, bringing that in this week. And next week a little bit, get that built back up so we can do some more shouldering. So that's our September work activities. Any questions? Good. Okay, on the, this one. This is the pricing for Road F and Road S reconstruction we've been working on. I did put the paving out to bid, and it came back pretty much as I expected, to kind of split there. And so we decided to go ahead, and Elam won the price for paving Road 23 down at the airport. And they came in at $465,000 even. And Four Corners price was $481, $291, $25. And then it just flipped on Road S. Four Corners came in at $419, $549, and Elam was $431, $975. So rather than combine the two jobs and have a $3,000 difference, both companies have done us a good job, and they're both very capable of doing the work. We all went on a walkthrough together, so we all know exactly what each other's doing on each job. And I decided if it's all right with you guys, I'm gonna split it up and award Road 23 to Elam and Road S to Four Corners. We got good numbers now for guardrail on both jobs. And the paint numbers came in, so there's our price to do the work. Road 23, $487, $790, and Road S, $462, $183. The funding down below that, of course, is where we'll get the funding, so we'll have to dip into the savings account to wrap it up. But I think these are both good projects, and we can get them done this fall. That was another good thing about both companies. They're very busy. They're not in around. Everything's got to come out of Durango now with asphalt. So it's apples for apples, and both of them can be here about late October. That way they don't get wrapped up with too much work. Each one will be able to be done before it gets too cold. So, or that's our hope anyway. So, we'll get down there now that we've done this and get that little right turn lane built off of the 23 onto Road G this
Which
next couple of weeks after. the
Takes
chip
care
seals.
of our safety issue down there with that
We'll get
lane merging.
after the chip seal's done, we'll get that built, and then they'll be ready to pave it. It'll be ready for them to pave when they come in, so.
Yeah. Well, to me, it makes good sense. You're breaking it up, like you said, you'll get them both done, and obviously, it's at the best cost to us as far as the county. So, just in full disclosure, I mean, this is something that we've talked about in the past, and I'll abstain from this vote, but my corporation works for both of these large companies all of the time, always have, and just so that everybody is aware of that, you know, for many, many years, we worked for Four Corners Material and Elam and still work for them today. But just in full disclosure, I want everybody to know that. So,
Ready?
yep.
Okay, I would so move, we expend $465,000 for the airport overlay on Road 23, and award that contract to Elam. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to award the 23 airport overlay and right turn to Elam Construction in the amount of $465,000.
Yeah, even, yep. Never see them like that, do we?
Yeah.
There's always a penny or two somewhere in there.
Yeah, I was like, okay, that's it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I will abstain
And then the
or
other one,
recuse myself.
Four Corners.
And then the other one.
I would also move that we award the Road S Hay Camp pave and steep grade and curve for $419,549 to Four Corners Material.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to award the Road S Hay Camp pave and grade curve change award to Four Corners Material in the amount of $419,549. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And again, I will abstain. Okay,
Good, and then
There
the
you go.
guardrails, those are really gonna be nice too. Those guardrails down there, they're all gone, they're shot.
Yeah.
They're too low, like the bridge going across, what's that creek right there on Hay Camp?
Lost Canyon.
Lost Canyon.
Lost
Yeah,
Canyon.
Sorry. The rails are almost down to your ankles, you know? It's been built up so many times, it's time to go. So all them are, that's a big old bridge, it's all made out of timbers, and we'll just have to bolt new posts on and raise them up. They're curved, they're beat up, torn up and twisted, and all that gets new guardrail through there, and new flagging and new signs. So it's gonna be a nice job for both roads and clean up a lot of issues that we've been wanting to try to get anyway, so. Mancus Pit, I guess the last part of my business here would be, it looks like we got everything back from the surveyors. The map came back. I talked to Brian. He needs to certify it and get it logged in and recorded to make it legal. And I told him to proceed with that. That's the map that I sent you. Shows all the new boundaries there and cleaned up that little middle part. So as soon as he gets that done, he will send that to me, and then I can send that to DMRS along with the letter from the town of Mancus.
Did you get that?
I got the letter, yeah. So I've got everything I need now except for the registered and recorded map plat from the surveyor. Once he gets that done, I'll have everything legal and I can send it on.
Did he give us a time frame?
As soon as he can, it's possible. Faster than the last one. All he needed from me was just that I agreed with the boundary change there, which we all did, and then he's ready to go. I asked him to just go ahead and register it himself, and he said he didn't feel comfortable doing that, because if there's a problem, then he'd have to do it all over again. So I have to agree with him. Let's get it registered and recorded. Then DRMS has a legal document that's not gonna be questioned, and any issues with that, and we'll be done with it, so.
Okay.
It's in their hands again. I'll do it as quick as I get it. I'll send it off, so. Get that in,
All right.
and that's it.
Questions, gentlemen?
No, thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, good.
Thank you, Rob.
Yeah, see you guys.
Okay, I don't see Bonnie in here. We'll go to Mel. You get to jump ahead.
That's nice.
Thank you.
Is it big, bold print?
No, it's, you gotta get your readers on.
We get this whole piece of paper, and that's all we occupy, that paper.
Well, I didn't, if I put it on other sheets, I wasted 2 pieces, so I put it that way.
You do this. You do
All
this.
right.
So anyway, this is kind of this is not everything that we take in down there, but this is the majority of the stuff that varies somewhat. So if you look, the very last line there, 2022, that's just the 7 months for this year. And we're probably gonna have, I don't know, about 5,000 or 6,000 more tons of just regular trash come in this year based on what I'm seeing compared to the previous years. The other thing that has really increased is, if you look at the recycling, cardboard is picking up, office paper is picking up, and the plastics are picking up. So right now, we're shipping out about 2 semi-loads of cardboard a week, or a month. And paper's probably about 3 loads a year. We've already done 2 this year on just office paper. Thankfully, some of the electronic waste is starting to taper off, which we're gonna try and find another outfit where we don't have to ship this stuff all the way to Oklahoma, which will save some expense on that. Anyway, I just printed that off so you can take a look at it. And I wrote on there, that's just the 7-month total for mattresses coming in from private citizens.
And we move that, does this include our fee adjustment that we did 2 months ago?
It does.
Okay.
All this is just counts. This is not figures, monetary figures. This is just tonnages and counts, so.
Okay.
So a few weeks ago, as Rob told you, we had some major rain down at the landfill, flooded everything. We almost lost one of our roads down there, culvert, that was a 4-foot culvert, and there was times it was disappearing. Under the road, Rob got our blade fixed and we've got it back, so we've got some maintenance to do. And that flash flood from the drainage, we have a stormwater sampling device down there right next to Carver's fence line, which I have to sample every time it rains. I just took it all out. It just took everything out. It's all gone. So had to reorder and we're gonna reinstall that again. But there was water almost 15 feet tall down there
Really?
going into Carver's field. It was bad. That all came from one about 2-hour storm.
Mm-hmm.
So
Carries a lot of water off the mesa right there.
it did. Cell 4 alone leachate collection. I started the pump when the storm ended. We've pumped over 26,000 gallons out of that sump. That's just that cell 4 area. Washed out one of the berms down there. Most everything worked just fine like it's supposed to, but we do have some silt and stuff to go in there and get cleaned up. We have a blade back. And let's see, we have, we received all the bids as of this morning for our compost turner from 3 different companies, Comptac, Ecoverse, and Scarab out of Texas. Our foreman and I will be going through those today and figuring out which one will work the best for us. There's a fair variance in price. One of them is gonna be way too small, and it was about $383,000. I think one's gonna be way too big, it's about $600,000. But they give us some options in there to make what we want work for us on the different machines, so. But other than that, everything else down there is just as usual.
So I have a question as far as it relates to CDPHE. I read the email that you sent to them as far as getting them moving forward, giving us the go-ahead on the,
Carver Field.
basically the Carver Field and the excavation so that we can get started on that sooner than later. Did we ever get a response back?
Not yet.
And that's 2 weeks old or longer?
It's probably
It's-
3 weeks
It's
old.
3 weeks, because I sent them that email after we had that work session discussion.
Yep. So you might want to follow up on
I
that,
will.
just to see,
And
because,
I can't go in and just start doing that.
no, I know.
If we do that, then we're in violation with the state.
No, no,
We'll
no, no.
lose that grant. I can't.
We're just asking,
Yeah, I know. It's
no, their timeframes. Here's what amazes me is that
And it's a simple ask.
I know.
that's all, it's ready to
I know.
go.
I'm preaching to the choir.
So-
The problem with CDPHE, when COVID hit, a lot of them retired, a lot of them quit. They can't get help either. There's still a lot of more, most of the Zoom meetings I'm on with CDPHE, they're still working from home.
Mhm.
And that slows everything down. And our permitter's not an engineer, so he has to take it in front of the engineers, have them approve it before he can give me an okay.
Just follow up. I was just curious. I hadn't
Yeah.
seen any responses back, and I was just asking the question.
Yep, I will.
Okay.
Lot of expense last month, but that was at 40,000, that was that shredder for the tires and the compost and everything on that. And at the end of the year, I'll be coming to you, maybe we might wanna adjust our prices a little bit on tires. I mean, we still made some money, but, the way prices are going up and the price of these rents on these shredders are going up, we may have to do something. So we're not losing money on this tire issue. But right now, we're doing fine.
Okay.
Do you have any questions on anything else?
No, appreciate it. Mel.
Where's your bow mag?
Uh,
Is it running? Just,
both of them are running.
Hey.
oh, wow.
So, we did have some, we got the injectors changed in the other machine, the good injectors we kept. Then we had a fuel issue, they got that fixed. As soon as they got the motor running, it blew the hydraulic line, got that fixed. So the machine is up and running, it's parked right now. But it is fixed. We ruined the cylinder on the new one. We had a spare off the old one, we put it on that. I mean, The two machines were already swapping parts. But both machines are up and running, and the issue with the dozer, the major repair with the dozer, got a bid back from Wagner, it was about $54,000 to fix a dozer. I had Shane at the road department look at it, he goes, we can fix that. So road department's gonna fix it towards the end of the month, after they get done chip sealing. So
Good.
that'll save a lot.
So is it just rollers and sprockets or the undercarriage? What
It's
is
the-
it?
What they call it, the hard bar,
Uh-huh.
the bushings under there are totally gone. And we gotta get that fixed before it starts balling out in the frame. And some of the rollers are bad. There's a few bushings that are getting hot in season. They're gonna fix that,
Good.
so.
Okay. Anything else?
No, unless you have questions on my budget, why it's in the red this month, or for July.
We're starting to look over budget stuff right now, so,
Okay,
all right.
all right.
Thank you, Mel. Appreciate it. Justin. Fairgrounds. Good morning.
Go with the one that says commissioner meeting at the top. My normal, yeah, there you go. Okay, so our attendance to date so far, 55,380 people. Look at our revenue, 68,307.49, and our expenditures to date, 175,364.28. And then what's been paid out of CTF, and then our difference there is 81,632.12. This last month we had the fair that ended at the beginning of August, so that all got done then. And then CDOT come in and did their annual rodeo that they generally always do out in the parking lot on August 10th. They had a set of car races out there the 12th and 13th. As well as the commodity giveaway was August 13th. Then on August 20th, they did their country western dance, which got postponed from the month before, so that went on this last month. The 26th and 27th was his last set of car races that he was going to run this year. They did cancel their Friday show because they got quite a bit of rain out there, but it looked like they got everything done on Saturday and just started early Saturday, so. As far as I know, he's got all his racing done for the year, though. Then this last weekend, there was a concert out there called Concert for Critters. That one, there was some issues with it, but we got through it, so, and it's all said and done.
Did you receive all your revenue for it?
Not all of it yet, but I've got my deposits on it, so. And then I'm gonna be running a card on it here probably today or tomorrow, so I'll have the rest of it.
Okay.
This upcoming month, we have a commodity giveaway September 10th. And then followed by a barrel race the following weekend, September 17th to the 18th. The 21st to the 24th, for Sykes Yard Sale is gonna go out there. That's their annual yard sale that they always do in the beef barn. Then we got Jordan World Circus coming out on the 26th of September. They're gonna do their circus in the outdoor arena. And then followed the next day, there's gonna be a training for backcountry expeditions in the outdoor arena. And that's where he just comes in and he does those big bike expedition bikes, and he just rents our outdoor facility to help people get trained on those bikes before they get out into the real world. So that's kind of what that's about. And that's all I have for what we got coming the next month. I know we've been going over our rate schedules out there, so I included that here. This is kind of a rundown of, I think, everything that we could move forward with just based off of previous conversations on things. The kitchen I put on here, that was one of the things we were discussing last time at $25. I put $25 an hour with a $200 daily max. So after 8 hours, you're paying $200 for the day, and that matches what the senior center does. So And then the rest of it's kind of what we've gone through and.
I
and
thought we
looked at.
approved the list. You gave us 2 proposals last time and we voted on it. Is this that?
I don't think it was voted on. I believe we just looked at it and.
Pretty sure it was voted on.
I think we did.
It was voted on.
My recollection was that we did vote on it and approve it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
that's my recollection, so I'm kind of curious why we're looking at this again, but,
I guess I don't remember that then.
yeah,
That-
we voted on, you had 2 scenarios. One that would stop the bleeding totally and one that would put
Ease
a,
into it.
put a Band-Aid on it. And we have the conversation of then what is it gonna take percentage-wise to keep raising that to get there in the next 2 years? So your expenditures right now, you're showing already an 81, almost an $82,000 deficit that it's bleeding. So this is going to cure a percentage of that.
Correct.
So the last conversation that we had, the question was asked is, what is the percentage that we're raising it next year?
So if we want to try to, I guess, get it to that break-even point, then we're gonna have to raise it probably about 12%.
Right, so when we had discussed it that day, we said, let's go with the lesser one this year, give them a year, and then next year we would move to the higher one. That was the conversation that I remember.
It is.
So, but my question to you again, with the inflation rates, is that still gonna stop? I mean, we can't keep losing $82,000, and that's only 7 months
Yeah, and
in the year.
that kind of depends on what our inflation rate ends up being for next year. But, I guess it wasn't approved when I was here last, so I guess
We voted on
that's what I'm
this.
unsure about, so, okay.
So you had 2 proposals.
Exactly, but we didn't have the kitchen figured out totally. So that's where I guess I have the question mark.
Go ahead, Kim.
It was approved August 9th.
August 9th?
August 9th.
Okay. Okay, I'll run with that one then.
Okay,
And then, other than that, we're still we're waiting on Montezuma County or the water company to have their meeting to kind of figure out what's going on that side for suppression system stuff. There's a couple other things we're waiting on as far as quotes. That's kind of the lowdown on that part, unless there's any other questions from you guys. Guess that's all in mind.
their meeting is the,
Their meeting's the
12th.
12th, so, yeah,
We'll
I'm
be
gonna
talking.
get a hold of them. I think that's next Tuesday, if I remember right. So I'm gonna get a hold of them next Monday, see if we need to be there or something, but,
I would definitely be there.
okay,
And if you need one of us to go with you, I would be more than happy to go to that meeting with you.
okay.
So let me know. Because again, this is nothing more than installing a fire hydrant. It's a static line.
Exactly.
Okay,
I think it'd be wise if you went.
so make sure you send me a calendar invite to that meeting.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll get a hold of them then and see if we can show up and be included in that.
He said it's on the
The
12th.
12th, that's what they told me. And I don't know if they run them in the evenings or during the day, which I
So that's a
believe,
Monday?
I thought it was a Tuesday, but maybe it is a Monday.
Yeah.
It's a Monday.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just let me know.
I think their meetings are all in the evening.
I think so.
Yeah.
that's all I got, so unless you guys got other questions.
Not at this time.
We, correct me if I'm wrong, but the email that we got from Nicole Friday or Saturday on the grant that was submitted to the Fair Board, did you, it sounds like we have, the expiration date is come and gone
Correct, but we got an extension based upon the email that
that
we
we got on
received.
Friday? Okay. Did you have any conversations with the Fair Board at all?
I have not.
Okay.
I'll actually reach out to them. I'll try to reach out to them today. See if they
Okay.
got anywhere they want to go, I guess, as far as what they're thinking. but I have not heard nothing back from them.
Okay.
So,
Well, it didn't sound like we had an absolute definite deadline from the email that I read. The gal was at the state fair, but she just basically stated that I'll give you an extension, but she didn't give us a time frame. So I think that the time frame is going to be critical
okay,
because we are well over the deadline.
okay. Yeah, I'll reach out to them. I think their meetings, I think their actual meetings, well, I think it's 2 weeks away, but I'll reach out to them and see
Okay.
if they got any ideas, see if they want us
Okay.
to roll with the one thing. we're
In the
thinking about.
meantime, we'll be talking about it also.
Okay, sounds good.
All right? Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bonnie, you did show up.
I'm here. It's a Monday, you know? What?
Which one do you want first?
The PowerPoint, PDF, whatever I give you.
This?
Yep. All right, Travis, what are we looking at in this picture? No, yeah.
I'm looking at a 309 excavator with a.
Oh, you see it.
Masticator head on it, and that's what
Nice.
I'm looking at. That's made a nice cut through the draw.
Through which species?
Which species?
What are we
of-
killing?
It looks like you're killing,
Salt cedar.
Salt cedar, yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
Salt
Yeah.
cedar, yeah, sure.
All right. There's your
Hard to
quiz for
distinguish.
today. Next. Okay, the
Looks like
agenda.
monkeypox to me.
Monkeypox.
Looks sagebrush to me.
All right, so today I'm going to go over some noxious weed populations data, current projects and funding, things in the work, and then enforcement stuff. So here's our current inventory map. The red you can't really see on the screen, sorry guys, but that's our A-list species, the species that we've designated for eradication. We have about 100 acres of that stuff. The green is looking at B-list species such as Russian olive, salt cedars, Russian knapweed, thistle populations. And my thingy got cut off. What is it? 1,000 acres? I can't read that. 16,000 acres of B-list species. And then C-list species is like your downy brome, your cheatgrass, field bindweed, chicory, that kind of thing. We have about 13,766 acres. So this doesn't include Mesa Verde National Park, the reservation, BLM, Forest Service data. I still need to get their inventory data and incorporate it into this, but this is, it took me about a month to get all this data processed for our current inventory. So that's what we're looking at right now in the county. Some fun facts for you guys. Did you know that 5 Canada thistle plants per square yard can produce 121 million seeds per acre, or 2,777 seeds per square foot? Canada thistle seed may be viable for 4 years in fresh water, so that's going down your irrigation canals. Canada thistle roots contain 1.5 years supply of food reserves, so you may not even see the plants emerging through the soil, but it's living underground. Field bindweed seeds can live more than 50 years. There may be 3.5 tons of roots per square acre under established field bindweed. If left untreated, noxious weeds will spread at an alarming rate of 4,600 acres per day nationwide. According to a noted biologist, Edward O. Wilson, competition from invasive species is the main cause of decline in 18% of endangered species and contributes to the loss of an additional 24% of these species.
So where did the data come from on that?
All over
Bonnie?
the place. I can get you sources, but
I mean, it's just,
there's a lot of different
Curious.
studies going into this.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of different sources.
Who
Next,
counted all those Canadian thistle seeds?
probably CSU Extension.
Oh, wondered what they've been doing.
Universities do a lot of these studies. Montana, Utah, Idaho, Colorado does a lot of different studies. Next. Growth rate, a single hoary cress plant can spread over an area of 12 feet in diameter in 1 year. A single Canada thistle plant can develop a lateral root system with a 20-foot foot spread in a single season. Russian knapweed has a root growth rate of 12 square yards in 2 growing seasons. So these are all perennial species. That's why we really try to nip these in the buds right when we see them starting, because they will start taking over. They're also, all 3 of these are allelopathic, meaning they put a chemical into the soil which kills off other species. So it has a competitive advantage over our native species. So just some fun facts for you guys. So I just want to talk about the non-native phreatophytes, which is Russian olive and salt cedars. This is relatively a new problem. If you look over throughout the county, most trees are younger than 50 years old. I think the first infestation started along the Mancos River, because if you look at historical maps, you can see it starting to spread up through there. And then once the irrigation started really going on, McPhee was developed around 2000. That's when these guys started exploding. So you can see the growth, exponential growth projected map of these guys within Montezuma County. We have probably 50,000 acres of suitable habitat for these guys. And at the rate that they're spreading, it's going to be pretty significant once you hit year 3,000. So if we don't do anything, this is probably what we're going to start seeing. Next. So here's some cool historical maps. You can see 1983. You can't really even see my thingy on here. That's sad. In the 1980s, you don't really see any of the Russian olives, but as you look at the 1993, if you guys can see those lighter spots, those are Russian olives starting to come into the area. Yeah. Next. And you see the 1990s on the left, and then the 2000s on the right. Look at the lower part, that's all Russian olive in that area. This is over south of town, south of Cortez, north of G, west of 25. The Hopkins fire was just north of this. Okay, so next, 2000s, that's when irrigation started going rampant. Okay, 2012, the NRCS, in conjunction with High Desert Conservation District, did a treatment of all those Russian olives. You can see the burn piles in the picture for 2012. So they went ahead and they removed all that. The problem was they didn't do any follow-up work. So you can see 2 years later, the sprouts are starting to come back. Do you guys see that pretty clearly? Okay. Next. Okay, within 10 years, look how thick it is. And it's starting to spread across other properties as well now. Next. This is a video of that property, actually, 15 years after they did that treatment. Can you push play on it, Travis? Does it not push play? Oh, because I saved it as a PDF. Never mind. It's a forest of Russian olives. Next. Here's a property up on County Road W, west of 491. You can see the drainages in 1983. I couldn't see any Russian olives at that point, but in the 1990s, you can see them starting to pop up. Next.
Yes, ma'am.
2004, you can see the difference in 10 years, how thick those guys came in. And it's just started taking over. Next. Another 10 years, you can start seeing it come up a different drainage on the left side and kind of filling out other areas. It's coming up on the right side as well.
So are these all on private property?
Yep,
Yes.
this is private
I
property.
know
These
where
are
this
all-
is at.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
Yeah.
I'm not going to name names. Next. But it's good aerial images to show people.
It's not mine.
I know. You would know. Like, I would
Yeah.
talk to you about that.
Well, we got forests out that way.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take Travis Wednesday, and he's going to be crying. I swear to God. I'm going to get videos of it. He's going to be scared. So should we be concerned? Yes. We should definitely be concerned about how aggressive these guys are going through our lands, and it is so challenging to manage them. If you don't do consistent follow-up work, you're going to be in the same situation you are before you did any management, or worse. Sometimes, you disturb those root systems, they'll sprout up sprouts everywhere. It'll just stimulate the plant to be worse.
You drive out 491 all the way out. I mean, the new growth is incredible.
Yeah. It's kind of fun though when I teach somebody, I'm like, hey, you see that tree? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, that's a Russian olive. It's non-native. It's taking over our land. And then you start driving with them and they're like, holy crap. And that's what happened with Lauren Boebert. Like, she didn't really realize it. And she said their drive back, they were just looking at it all and they're like, we have a huge problem. And that's, you know, identification is the first step, you know, public awareness to see what all we have. If you guys could identify all the noxious weeds and you're driving down the road, you're like, holy crap, we got a problem. It is definitely significant. And our area is just like the perfect temperature and elevation for all these noxious weed species to just invade. Like, we're really in a sensitive area. You know, coupled with the drought and our natives are struggling, these guys are just taking over. Next. Okay, so Phaeatophyte project recap. So why did we take the initiative in doing this project? Because Montezuma County is limited on contractors who have the time and capacity to do the work. A lot of them don't want to touch these things because it's not fun. It's not a fun job. Because landowners cannot afford to hire contractors to do the work, because landowners are unable to do it themselves, and because honestly the government they help create this problem, so it's kind of not fair for the landowners to be left with cleaning everything up. NRCS, the colleges, a lot of nurseries, they promoted landowners to be planting these trees on their properties. And some of the properties, the older properties, they remember being handed these Russian olives and told to plant these on your property because it helps with windrows and stream bank stabilization. So they remember, and they're like, well, now you're telling us we're required by law to remove them. And so it's not very fair. So we're trying to do all we can to help support the community and prevent this from getting, you know, replacing all of our watersheds to the Russian olives and salt cedars. It's going to have a huge impact on not only water levels, but the wildlife habitat, agriculture. It's moving through the irrigation systems. You'll see a lot of irrigated fields that are starting to get overtaken by these guys. I mean, it's a huge issue within our county. So that's why we stepped up and we developed this program to try to obtain as much funding through the state level. We're trying to work on the federal level to offset the cost to private landowners to try to solve this problem. Next. Okay, so populations are growing significantly each year. We think birds have a lot to do with it. If you're driving down the road, look at the main power lines that the birds are sitting on, and then under the power lines, you'll just see a solid row of Russian olives. Even on fence lines, the birds are sitting on there. But another huge vector is the irrigation. Once the irrigation started ramping up in 2000s, we saw a huge exponential growth rate of these guys. We have a huge waiting list, and we haven't been doing a whole lot of public outreach and letting people know that we're available to help them because I only got 2 guys. We got 1 excavator. Like, we can only handle so much. Every year, as you can see, we're increasing our efficiency. You know, we're getting more acreage done. We're treating more trees. 2021, I'll have to look at that. But every single year we're doing more. We're getting more efficient. We're getting more done. However, if we're going to get ahead of this growth curve, we need to double our project size, really. We need more crew members. Right now our waiting list is over a year out. So people who call today, we're not going to be able to get to them to the end of 2023 or 2024. That's the sad reality. Okay, next. Updates. Cost share program is pretty much maxed out for this year. In the books, we have 185 applications. We've reimbursed $27,000. And those applicants have treated 1,700 acres. We have some low-income properties that we're going to be treating their Russian knapweed with through the cost share program. So we've allocated some money for that because you really have to wait for the appropriate time to treat that knapweed. Backpack loaner program, we've lent out 167 backpack sprayers. We've notified 732 properties about noxious weeds. We've mapped 98 properties, but we did not need to notify them because we know that they're actively working on it. We're just kind of tracking the populations. Lore Foundation, thank you very much. They awarded us $5,400 to purchase more noxious weed guides. We're completely out. We give these out at the Ag Expo, not to everybody walking by. If they actually stop and talk with us, we'll give them a noxious weed guide if they're living within the county. Property visits, we give them out. We give them out to HOAs for their landowners, realtors. These noxious weed guides are awesome. So thank you, Lore, for helping us purchase more this year. Okay. The Dolores City, I met with the board on August 22nd just to go over the Colorado Noxious Weed Act and what is required of all municipalities and local governing agencies. We're probably going to work with them to see if they can adopt our management plan and use our advisory board so we can work together on achieving the same goals. We're going to be doing a fall applicator training October 13th through 14th. Hopefully, I still need to get approval through the CDA, but that's my plan. We also have a tree giveaway for the Phreatophyte properties, so whoever has utilized our crew to remove their salt cedars and Russian olives, we're going to be giving them some trees donated by the High Desert Conservation District.
What kind of trees are we giving away this time?
Not Russian olives or salt cedars. Navajo willows. The MORP is going to be giving some apple trees, species that do well in the areas that the Russian olives are growing, like box elder, and box elders will tolerate certain salt levels, so those are some species. Yes, we're being careful. We're not putting non-natives that are going to become a phreatophyte.
Are we sure that's the greatest idea?
To do what?
To give away trees?
To promote, yeah, we're taking all these wildlife, the bird habitat, so we need to restore that, and especially in some sensitive areas where there needs to be some stream bank stability, we're going to put those trees back in there.
Okay.
So, enforcements. So how do we determine which properties to enforce? We prioritize properties we receive multiple complaint calls about. We prioritize properties where we have mapped noxious weed populations on them for 2+ years with no visible reduction in noxious weed populations. We prioritize sensitive areas such as farmlands and waterways. And then we also prioritize areas aesthetically, along the main corridors in and out of Montezuma County. So how many properties do we send enforcement letters to? We've sent 390 since 2017. And then we've only carried out enforcement on 33 properties. So the notification letters, sometimes they get ignored, but once we send that certified letter, people are more up to doing the management plan with us and working with us. What does our Montezuma County Noxious Weed Management Plan require? So we send out the certified letter giving the landowners 14 days to respond with the management plan. If they do not agree to my recommended plan and submit their own plan, technically an arboration panel needs to determine if their plan is reasonable. This has never happened, mainly due to the fact that our workload is already maxed out. So what happens if they give me their own management plan? I give them time to try to see if it works for them. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. A lot of the time when people don't agree to my management plan, they tend to go towards mowing, which is just putting a Band-Aid on the problem. And so we're running into issues where every year I'm sending the same properties enforcement letters, they submit a plan that never works. So we're, as the advisory board and myself, are trying to come up with solutions to that. We're revising the noxious weed plan that we'll propose to you guys hopefully next month. Ian's looking at it right now. We're trying to incorporate a fining system. That way, if they keep coming up with these management plans that aren't working, instead of us going and enforcing, we'll just, we'll apply a fine to their property. And it also, in the areas like the farmland that we're not comfortable with treating, if they have beans or something growing, instead of enforcing and taking that liability on, we're just gonna give them a fine, is what we're proposing. So stay tuned.
I know I had a couple of people tell me that they got letters and they'd called weed management people on the list, and that's as far as it went. I mean, they're so busy, they can't get to it.
And that's why we have the backpack loaner program too. I mean, we definitely understand that they're overwhelmed, and we're not expecting them to solve the problems this year because we understand that there's not enough contractors. So if anyone out there in YouTube land wants to start a business, start a private applicator business, and hopefully come to our workshop that we're planning to have next month, because Eddie Lewis is also going to give a presentation on what it takes to actually start a noxious weed management business as a private applicator, so commercial applicator.
Are we, are we running into the same problem though, once they're hiring outside contractors, which is what they should be doing, they're just letting them go because they can't afford it? I mean, that's what we're looking at with the Russian olives and the salt cedars.
You know,
I mean,
I think the contractors are pretty reasonably priced. The cost of treating knapweed compared to Russian olives is very minute. The grasses tend to come in pretty significantly in most of the areas that you're treating these noxious weeds. The Russian olives and salt cedars, it's just on a whole different level. I mean, it takes 6 hours on average to remove 1 acre of Russian olives and salt cedars, where if you're treating 1 acre of knapweed, it takes you like 20 minutes. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's just completely different worlds. And that's why we have the cost share program to help assist landowners to afford these noxious weed treatments. If they're low income, disabled, they can go through our low income cost share application. We can try to help them out that way. So we try to do all we can, and we work with them too. Next. Okay, so I had 3 right of entry resolutions for my request today. However, one lady called me this morning, so we're just going to do 2. This one here is over by Mancus, south of 160, west of 38. They've received notification letters 2015, 16, 20, and 21, certified letters 2017, 19, 2022. After the certified letter was sent, he said that he would take care of it. Well, he would just mow it. The next year, I'd have to enforce it again. So he hasn't submitted any management plan or contacted me this year about what he's going to do. It's still all standing and went to seed. So I'm requesting a right of entry to treat these properties once and for all, you know, get it taken care of. Next. This is some pictures of it. Sorry, it's kind of grainy, but you can see the thistles in there. Next. All right, this one is up County Road 41, west of Jackson Reservoir. Canada thistles, notification letters 2020, 2021, certified this year with no response. You can see the pictures in the next slide. Just a big patch of Canada thistle. And then the next one, she called me this morning, so that's good to go.
So you need just the 2?
Yep.
Okay. Questions,
No.
gentlemen? Go ahead if you would like to start.
You guys okay? I move to approve this resolution granting Montezuma County Weed Program or its designees right of entry onto property to control noxious weeds based on an affidavit of County Weed Supervisor, Noxious Weed Resolution 5-2022.
You might just incorporate the other one too, 6.
And the same for Resolution 6-2022.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept resolution number 5-2022 and 6-2022. Resolution granting the Montezuma County Weed Program or its designee right of entry onto property to control noxious weeds based on the affidavit of the county weed supervisor. Noxious weed resolution. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. This takes all three of us, gentlemen.
You guys got any other questions for me?
I don't. Not at this time.
Okay, have a good day.
Thank you.
Okay, next on our agenda, we have, I'd asked Travis to add this, got this email from CCI for our legislative committee, and it's our commissioner designation form for this upcoming legislation. It starts October 7th. Commissioner Copenhaver and I have already went through the first presentation for the bills that were presented at our Western District meeting, and then starting in October 7th is when we'll start breaking them down to our 8 or 9 priority bills that will run through the legislation. So right now, we don't have an alternate, but I am the designation to vote, or the designee to vote for Montezuma County at the legislative session. So we need to add a alternate.
Okay.
Which would be
Gerald, you want to be alternate?
I don't care.
Okay.
I mean, that's fine. I don't care. It's up to you.
Yeah.
Do you want to, or?
No, I can't. It's wrong,
Okay.
wrong date.
No, I'll try to do some.
Okay.
Well, they move, these dates move all
Yeah.
the time, so it just kind of depends on when they come up. Like our last one was on Friday, this next one I think is on a Friday, but then when the legislation starts, they're typically 2 days in a row. They're Thursdays and Fridays when all
Right.
9 steering committees meet. But it is good, I mean, Commissioner Copenhaver has been going with me to these, so in case something happens and I can't be there, it's good to have an alternate.
All righty. Move to appoint Commissioner James Candelaria as a designee to the Legislative Commission for CCI, and also Commissioner Gerald Copenhaver as the alternate for the Legislative Commission.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to appoint Commissioner Candelaria as the designee for voting at CCI for Montezuma County, and Commissioner Copenhaver as the alternate voting member for CCI for the Legislative Committee. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 If you'll sign it, I'll fill in the rest of it.
And just sign it, and she'll fill in the rest of it.
Okay.
Travis, do you need that sent to you? Do you need it sent to you?
You can just send it right straight to Kristen Dunn. Kim?
Okay.
Okay. With that, we'll jump right into our, do we have any other unfinished business that we left unattended to, Ian?
This morning, we did get some documents from Jerry for the liquor license for the temporary liquor permit for Esoterra at the Morp Orchards. It's not on the agenda. It looks like the event is on October 8th. I'm not aware that that needs to be approved today. I mean, basically, what the state said is that this isn't something that the county necessarily has to go through the whole permitting process, but they do want us to indicate either approval or disapproval of this permit. My preference would be to table it until next week, till when we can actually get it on the agenda. I don't think that that's going to be a problem because the date of this event is in October, so that should give us some time. I just got the documents this morning and looked them over, but
30 days is the requirement, right, Kim?
it looks
For
like,
the license.
isn't 30 days for an event that goes for longer though, Kim?
It is, they have 10 days on or special events permit, or they're not required to turn it into the state. They have to have it in 10 days before the event.
That-
But it has to go through us, in time for us to get it to the state within 10 days. But
So-
I think there's plenty of time.
If we table it till next week, will that give us time? Okay, let's do that.
She's my genius, so.
I'm
Yeah,
never mind.
it looked to me like it was a 10-day time frame too, so.
Yeah.
Yep, so, good deal.
Okay, very good. All right, then we'll move right on. Do you have anything else, Ian?
For my county attorney's report, I do. I had an opportunity to meet with the landowner of the property that we're enforcing on the land use code down on Road 23.6. He came in with a relative, and they've got some plans to try to get that property cleaned up. There's some legal things that they're gonna try to do, some hoops that they need to jump through, but their hope is that they can get the ball moving forward. They did indicate to me that they have hauled in a large dumpster down there and that they have filled that up. I haven't seen it myself, but that was an indication. I think it was a positive meeting. Again, we'll see whether steps are taken moving forward. The landowner also did have a bench warrant out. He did indicate that he was going to turn himself in. I'm not sure whether he turned himself in or was picked up, but he was in the county jail on the day that he said he was going to turn himself in. So I don't know if he went down and turned himself in or whether he was picked up, but I did appear at a bond hearing. We did get his contempt hearing reset for the end of this month on September 30th. And I believe he's going to have counsel appointed for him. He was trying to get some paperwork filled out. I did encourage him to get an attorney. I think that that's always helpful to get that communication going. And so my hope is that the process is moving forward. We have made contact with him. He's been in front of a judge now. I have had an opportunity to meet, so we'll see where it goes. And we do have that contempt hearing set again at the end of the month.
Okay.
And I think, and just to add a little bit more, one of the topics that came up during that meeting was right now a lien's accumulating on that property every day. It's $100 a day that lien is going up. One of the questions that landowner asked me was, hey, if we get this property cleaned up, what can we do with this lien? Is that still going to hang on it? Because his concern was, hey, it's going to take a good amount of money to clean this up, and so I think that's just, again, that's down the road in the future. We'll see whether it moves, but my assumption is that the county's biggest interest is in getting that property clean, not necessarily having a big lien hanging over his head. I don't know, but
I would say we can address that down the road when he gets it cleaned up.
Absolutely.
That's a conversation down the road.
I think so.
When he shows good faith in getting it cleaned up, then that would be a conversation at that point in time. But obviously, there's been no effort made to this point in time to communicate or correspond
Absolutely.
with us, so.
We're not even close. We're not even close.
So-
And there's a lot of work that needs to be done to even get close. And I did convey that to the property owner and to the relative. And so I think that they understand what they need to do. And we've got a court date set. So hopefully there will be some positive movement forward. It certainly was a positive development compared to what we had been seeing, where there had been no contact and no effort of any kind. So we'll see.
Okay.
Other than that, briefs have been completely filed in the the case that was filed by Tina Peters involving the county clerks and the Secretary of State. We're waiting for an order from the court on that as to the jurisdictional issues, and so that continues to move forward. Other than that, I don't have anything else to report.
All right, thank you. James, I seen you walk in the room, so come on down and hear from our natural resources.
Morning, everyone,
Good morning.
Morning, James.
and ladies. Wanted to just let the commissioners know I'd attended a few meetings last week. Attended the Southwest Colorado Projects and Places subcommittee meeting. And basically what we're doing with that is we're forming up a work plan in reporting formats that complies with the enabling legislation. We're really trying to be aggressive with the numbers of acres that we're trying to treat, but also trying to keep it doable. So we don't want to bite off more than we can chew. We want to make this look like we're really making some progress, but certainly don't want to set ourselves up for failure on that. So kind of a delicate balance, I think, to walk out there on that one, especially given kind of a lot of the unknowns that surround timber treatment and stuff like that. Also attended the Mancos Valley Source Water Protection Plan update workshop. One of the things that came out of that meeting is that we need to really embed those source water protection plans in our CWPP. And I sent around a copy of the final draft of that CWPP. I think all the commissioners probably received a copy of that. But the source water protection plans that we do have, which include one for Cortez and one for Mancos, and both of those are embedded in that plan. And that way, if anything happens, in the event of a wildfire, we wind up with flooding or mudslides, things like that, any of the infrastructure that's mentioned in those plans would then be eligible for recovery dollars after that. So, also attended the Southwest Colorado CFLRP full stakeholders meeting, and that's the full group that's looking over the Projects and Places Committee. I applied for a committee membership on that, and I was elected as one of the committee members on that. There are 11 voting members of the Coordinating Council, and each entity or committee is responsible for selecting its own representative on the Coordinating Council. So that means that each one of these subcommittees will have a voting member on the Coordinating Council, and then I will be one of the 3 community members at large that will serve on that committee. And again, that project stretches all the way from Archuleta County over to Dolores County, so we want to make sure that we have good, strong representation on the west end. That was my objective on that. Also attended the BLM Gunnison Sage Grouse meeting. And of course, we're signed on as cooperating agency with those folks. And so as part of our homework assignment, we're supposed to provide the comprehensive land use plan and any other related plans that could affect the sage grouse planning. So I'll make sure the BLM gets copies of that. The BLM is really focused on coordinating with the local government, and especially through the cooperating agency agreement. They're focused on early notification. We should be notified, or at least have time to work on plans with them for at least a month before it goes out to the public. And then we will have two meetings in September for the coordinating agencies, and we'll try to advance all the things that we need to in that first draft plan, which will come out roughly a month after that. I think our issues really for Montezuma County is the whole northern corner of the county is, that northwestern corner that is identified as unoccupied Gunnison sage grouse habitat. We feel like that mapping is in error. I mean, if you look at the aerial photography on that, there's barely any sage up there, and sage is the key component for that bird. It's their sole winter food source. So there is some sage, of course, out there in Canyons of the Ancients, and I've had some discussion with the BLM on that. They feel like they do not have suitable habitat for that bird, and as we've discussed before, that that's in their plan is to reintroduce the bird. Their intention right now is to drop that, strike that language from their RMP as amended. And then I think the final thing is that these maps are produced by U.S. Fish and Wildlife and not really the BLM. So, but we need to telegraph that message to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife that there's a significant error in their mapping, and that probably none of that area up there in the southwest corner of our county is really significant enough habitat to give those birds a chance. So I guess that concludes meetings from last week. We went over the Attainable Housing Strategy Grant Program that we received through DOLA. We did get the response from 2 of the consultant firms. I had our consultant team, 5 members of the team, follow the written protocol that we announced through the RFP. The AIRS Consulting Group came out on top. Both of these consulting groups were neck and neck all the way through it. They were both pretty comparable teams. But everybody felt a little more confident with the AIRS, and the recommendation would be to go ahead and follow through on the AIRS proposal then for the affordable housing strategy. And so that would be just an ask of the commissioners today for approval to follow through on that.
So do we need, is that AIRS like AIRS or
It is
AYERS? What is that?
AYERS.
AIRS Consulting Group?
Yes.
You said 2 different proposals were
That's correct.
received?
That's correct. We received two different proposals. Within the RFP, there was a written selection process, and so 5 of our team members went through and followed through that process. I abstained from that. But basically, this is the selection criteria. Company and personnel qualifications, which was worth 50 points. The approach to the scope of work, which was worth 30 points, and the value cost of effort, which was worth 20 points. So the breakdown came in, and again, five team members voting on this, but total score for AIRS Consulting was 432, and total score for Capelli Consulting was 371.
What's the timeline on this, James?
We need to go ahead and let them know this pretty quickly. We could wait a week, it's no problem. But
I wonder whether it would be worth getting the proposals in front of you guys, just so you know what it is that you're looking at and you're approving. I think that would make
Certainly.
some sense in my mind, and get it on the agenda as well.
And I'm just
Okay.
looking at, I don't see anything that was sent to us, James, so.
No.
Just in all fairness to everybody and transparency, that we should go ahead and put that on the agenda under unfinished business for next
Okay.
week.
Certainly.
Okay, all right. Anything else?
Let's see, and then this week, we'll be attending meet with the Southwest Resource Advisory Committee to talk about the defensible space grants. We're going to try to get a project proposal together on that. We're going to not probably make this grant deadline. What we want to do is make sure that we've got a project that's put together well enough we can apply for it for the next round. We'll also meet with the Dwarf Working Group on Wednesday, and then after that we'll have a San Juan Skyway meeting. And of course, we're on the San Juan Skyway, and we have not had a lot of action with that group lately. In fact, I don't even know who right now is actually looking over it. So I think that's part of the meeting. It was really kind of defaulted to the Forest Service, but the last I heard, it was Pauline. I can't remember her last name, but I think she's retired, and so we're probably looking for a new director on that, is my guess. So.
Which is gonna lead me to my question to you. So as we were going over our CDAP, the last 2 or 3 weeks, there was, one of the functions in there referenced the McGuire committee. Is that even still functioning? Because I haven't heard anything for a long time.
Right.
I don't know if it is alive and well, or did it die and go away, or?
Yeah, we've just gone into hibernation with that, but since we never really had a formal rack anyway, that's been just fine. So we'll just bring folks back on whenever we've got a question we need to visit with everybody about. And for example, something like that outdoor recreation grant, something like that, we'd want to get those folks heavily involved with. And presumably everybody wants to still stay engaged. I mean, it was all kind of voluntary anyway, so.
Right.
And if not, we'll find some new members, I'm sure.
Well, it was just a question, because we were looking at that CDAP, and we're like, I remember the name, and I remember actually going through the applications and appointing them, but
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything for a long time from
Yeah,
them.
we haven't had a meeting for quite a while.
Okay.
So I think that concludes my report for the day.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Travis?
So last week obviously was super busy, but to hit some highlights, Rob kind of stole some of my thunder. I was going to talk about the gravel pit survey, but he's already beat me to the punch. So Monday we had a managers meeting with myself and Mancus and the city of Cortez. In summary, we just basically discussed how we can support each other's role and the different projects that we have going on, and due to the fact that we're a small community, we always seem to fight the same fight, and how we can be partners in those battles. The solar system, we're one step closer to getting that incorporated. We got the survey, and we have our grant writer working on getting the additional funding that we need, and some back-end stuff to try to get that accomplished. Most of the week, budget preliminary reviews. We're really going through the budgets this year to try to make better sense of it and be more appropriate with the funds the stakeholders give us to run business for the citizens. And tomorrow morning, I will be probably most of the morning, if not most of the day, with Bonnie and the Noxious Weeds. Gonna get an education there, I'm sure, and it'll be enjoyable, and I'll be able to learn their role within the county. So.
Okay, thank you, Travis. All right, Commissioners report. To my left today, Commissioner Copenafer.
Not much to report this week, just had some communication with constituents over some of the county problems around the county. Had some conversation with some landowners, especially on our county roads that lead into the forest, about how the forest is putting in different programs at the forest, and it's increased the traffic on their roads tremendously, and they're not very happy about it because the forest is not paying for any part of repairing their roads. Part of it was with the bike paths that have been put in. Part of it was for other programs that they've implemented, but these constituents, our county roads going up to the forest, are being impacted by these different programs that's been put in on the forest, and their constituents want to know why they're not helping to pay for the county roads. I told them good luck because they won't even fix their own roads, but I would convey the message.
Okay.
Good point.
So I think it's something we need to consider
Yeah.
at some point in time, that this is an issue. It's going to be more and more as the traffic onto the forest increases and keeps increasing, as it has in the last couple of years, because it's gone up tremendously.
Okay.
Like Gerald, not much to report. We did attend a Extension Advisory Committee meeting, and a lot of good input, a lot of good thoughts came out of that. We've got a little bit of homework to do with the advisory committee, so we'll get to that later. Other than that, wish everybody a good week to come, and congratulations again to Eli Tomac.
All right. Spent all last week basically with the administrator and finance going over budget, scrutinizing everything. Travis already alluded to that. And then answered a lot of emails and phone calls based on a subdivision that we had approved. And then did go to a stat committee meeting on Friday, which is a state transportation advisory committee. The biggest issue there is that GHG, that greenhouse gas legislation is still moving forward. And what they're trying to do with their goals as far as the metric tons that they're trying to eliminate through projects that CDOT has going on. More to come, obviously, with that. Our next meeting in October will actually be an in-person meeting, so we'll be going to Denver to that one. Let's see, what else? We did not have a workshop yesterday. Was able to spend a great holiday weekend in the mountains. And I believe that's all that I have. Oh, I do have one other thing. So, in public comment today, we were asked about legislation that comes before us at CCI. And typically, CCI functions just for counties, so, I haven't seen it in the last 3 years that any legislation for school boards, has come before any of the counties at all. So talking about a sales tax for the schools, that has never come up in 3 years. Now, I don't know if it has in the past, but typically it's all legislation that affects the counties and the state for making their rules to stop unfunded mandates that are pushed back down onto the counties. So I believe CASB is the one that typically does most of your legislation for the school boards, but the counties kind of stay out of that lane just because it's not our lane at all. But I did want to address that. And with that, that does conclude my report. So gentlemen, that is all we have on our agenda for the day.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn this September 6, 2022 meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.